Hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome to FILMspiration, the place where filmmakers come to get inspired. My name is writer-director Edgar Ibarra. Let's get down to business.
Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, Heather.
I thought that's where I was supposed to.
You know what? So I do this thing a lot of times, Heather. It's just a little hand gesture that I do like that. Let's get down to business.
Okay.
But yeah, so this is Heather. Heather, give us your first and last name.
Heather Serrano.
So Heather, you're an actress, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Let's jump into the topic of, I give you guys a script tonight. We're doing a short film, a script, words on the page, but it's more than just that, right? Like it's literally like there's a process where we are giving these words life, and we're really bringing the characters to life, and making them come off the page, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think part of that is just trying to be natural, like not reading it as if you're reading a book, but like trying to read it as if it's really happening to you in real life, like just in your everyday life, and trying to find a way to relate to that character through your own personal experiences. Even if the character is really different from who you are, there's still something somewhere in the text that you can find to relate to.
And that it sounds like that's important to you.
Yeah, it's really important because I'm all about making it feel real, and the more real you can make it feel, the more you can affect the audience and influence them.
I like that because when even in all of my stuff has been at the local level or whatnot, but you guys get what I mean. But I've seen things behind the camera as a cameraman that have blown me away because I forget that I'm watching acting because it's so natural, it's so real. I think that's amazing when actors and actresses can do that.
Yeah, it's not so much about like acting, but like trying to be real. Like if you're acting, then it's gonna come off as like bad acting, but instead of like trying to act, it's like just try to be real, kind of.
And that takes, I'm no actor, but from what I've seen, it takes practice to get to that place of being comfortable enough to where you can deliver in that way, and to where it's not acting, but it's being.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people that they sound more like they're reading a book, kind of.
What's one of the biggest? So there's taking the authenticity and making something authentic about something to connect to within the text, as you yourself as a human being connecting to that text. But are there any other techniques or other tricks, or maybe not tricks, but you guys know what I mean. But like, is there another something that you do to bring the character to life in your very specific case, Heather?
Yeah, for sure. There's several things. So what I was talking about was just one of them. Another layer on top of that is try reading it in different ways. So don't just settle for like the first way that you read it, even if it's the most natural to you. Maybe the first way you read it is the best way to read it, but maybe you try, sometimes it's not the best way. Sometimes you have to play around with it, like read it as if you're angry, even if it doesn't make sense to read it that way. Just do it anyway, just to see what it feels like. Read it, then read it again as if you're sad. Read it again as if you're sarcastic. Read it again as if you're sweet and kind. And then find, okay, this line surprisingly sounded good when I did it sweet and kind, and I wasn't expecting that. But this other line definitely didn't feel right when I read it that way. And just like find what parts stick, just kind of experiment.
And so let me go off of let me throw the next not throw, but like let me present the next question to you off of that. Experimenting or trying different things is what I'm hearing in what you're saying. How important is it that the director, or basically the director and the people behind the camera, provide an open space to be able to try to have actors and to encourage actors and actresses to experiment with different things and trying different things? How important is that?
I mean, every director is different. I think I mean, I think that's something that the actor can do on their own time. It's great. I think it's great if the director encourages that, because it just makes it like a safer and more creative environment where they can
Yes.
each person can truly reach their best potential. But I just figure it's like the actor's responsibility to do that, like practice different ways on their own time, figure out what works for them, so that when they come in, they're like ready to go.
I like that. And so when, speaking of ready to go, God, you keep on giving me all these you keep on giving me all these great ideas that are great topics to cover. And I mean, I don't, this is just how, in this dialogue, this conversation, this is just kind of how like it flows out of me, Heather. But I mean, going off of that, what you said, ready to go, when you do, and go ahead and add to this afterwards, but when you do, and my point of view, when you do that homework, either by yourself at home or collectively, as we did tonight, as a group, and then the day of the shoot, you might be in a new physical space, but as far as the dialogue goes, and us having hashed it out and everything, like, you've been there before. It's familiar, right? And so I think that's so valuable to get to a physical space where you're going to film, but you're ready to go because you've been there before, because of the work that you've put in, right?
Right. And also that leads me to another thing is, like, yeah, you do want to practice beforehand and be prepared. You don't want to just like go in blind and wing it. But at the same time, I also try to be careful of like over rehearsing, because for me personally, if I do it too many times before the real one, then it almost takes like the realness out of it for me.
Yeah.
It's like then it becomes too rehearsed, then I don't feel it as much. Usually for me, I find there's like kind of like a sweet spot. It's like the first few times I practice it are not going to be the best, but then like there's a certain, I don't know exactly when it is, but somewhere in there, after so many times, I hit that sweet spot where it's like where I'm doing my best, where I really feel it and I get what the character's about and I know where to switch the emotions and the blocking. And then after that, if I keep doing it too many times, like over rehearsing it, then I start to lose the feeling, and it's just kind of like, okay, becomes kind of like going through the motions for me, kind of.
And going off of that, Heather, it makes me think of all the directors, like I think David Fincher, Social Network, Stanley Kubrick. Like, you hear these stories of these directors wanting to do like 50, 70, 100 takes, and I just wonder, of course I know other filmmakers and other film people out there, please don't jump on me, or if you do, actually it'll probably be good because of the YouTube and Facebook algorithm. But here we go. Here's the question. Is that necessary, or are you burning out the actor and the actress? Because you're right, it's a sweet spot. I think you're right. It's got to be a sweet spot. But then after like 70 takes, I'd be like, screw you. Like, I'm not doing that again. I'm burnt out. At least I would be. Like, I don't know. But you heard these stories?
I have not heard those stories. I did not know that some directors have them do 50 takes. Like, you mean like in a row, or like some takes on this day and some takes on a different day? Of like.
No, I think all on the same day, but maybe not quite in a row. But like, when you usually hear these stories, you hear about like, Shelley Duvall did, I don't know how many, that part in The Shining where Jack Nicholson puts the axe through the door and then his face is like...
I haven't seen it, no.
Oh, you haven't? Oh, so,
no.
it's a slasher movie, and, bad guy's got an axe, he's hacking through the door. Shelley Duvall, who was Olive Oil in Popeye in the early 80s with Robin Williams. She's screaming in terror, right? And I think it's that scene that I heard that was done, God knows, like, I don't remember the exact number. It said 70, I don't remember the exact number, but a ridiculous number of takes. As an actress, or as, at least her, and that, like, I'd be emotionally exhausted. I'd be like, I don't know. That's my 2 cents. What can you say? Like, is there such a thing as actor and actress burnout on the set because you do it too much?
For sure. I mean, they already have long days to begin with, like 10-hour days. So I've heard in LA they sometimes have 12-hour days. Or I mean, I don't know how true that is, but someone told me who apparently experienced it, and yeah, I don't know. I've only been in Tucson, acted in Tucson so far, and I think people are treat actors pretty well here. But I've heard stories of other places where it's not quite like that. So, but yeah, that's surprising. 50 times that, I can imagine that burning people out, and like, how can they even have the same emotion? And
you think after a while, like that terror would be like, not so much from what you should be reacting to, but like the terror of thinking, oh God, another take. Here we go. And so, I mean, I don't know. That's my 2 cents on that matter.
Yeah.
Heather, do you, as an actress, do you ever have times where you have, you maybe a certain production, and we don't have to mention names, but maybe after a production, you're a little burnt out. Like, have you had those times? And if so, how do you bounce back from those times?
I mean, I don't think I've had anything where I burnt out, where it was necessarily like because of the director or the director's style or too many takes. I think it's more just like other circumstances, like having to travel, or if it's outdoor, like out in the heat, especially in Tucson, or sometimes like even indoors, like you have to turn the AC off sometimes because that'll interfere with the sound, and then it's like hot in there, and it's like, it shouldn't be hot in here, but it's just like more like circumstances, and that can be tiring, and it's, yeah.
So a big thing that I just heard in your verbiage is a lot of challenges. I mean, acting, the glamour, the red carpet, we get that, right? But the thing is that there's a lot of work, and like, here's the irony, right? There's a lot of unsexy, like just blood, sweat, and tears and studying, like work involved. But you as an actress, Heather, like, why do you do it ultimately? Why do you do it? Like when you have those bad days, or what gets you to say, like, this is where my heart's at, like,
I just love it. Like, I've just always naturally been like a self-expressive person, and I just love expressing myself and expressing emotions. Like for some people, they say that like, oh, that takes a lot of courage to do that, or that's really vulnerable. And to me, it's like, doesn't feel that vulnerable or courageous to me. It just comes natural. Like I'm the kind of person that I like wear my thoughts and my heart on my sleeve. So to me, it's like, it's just what comes natural to me. Like,
it's very second nature.
Yeah, like, for example, and I think a long time growing up, I took it for granted. Like, as a kid, I used to imagine myself like in a music video, and I just thought like, oh, everybody pictures themselves in a music video, right? Like, who wouldn't imagine that? And then as I got older, I'm like, maybe that's not as common as I think it is. Maybe it's just me. Like, I don't know. I just
but it was a big part of you.
Yeah.
That's cool. What are some of the biggest obstacles in, from what you've seen, what are some of the biggest obstacles for actors and actresses out there who are maybe starting out, or maybe been doing this for a little while, and how do you get past those obstacles?
I think initially, like, one of them is just like knowing people who are in that industry. It's like, well, if you don't know anything, like if you don't know about different acting schools or different places you can go to network, the networking meetings, it's like, where do I start? Like, who do I even know? I think one of the ways is just show up to as many events as you can. Like attend as many networking meetings as you can, take as many classes as you can, even be an extra. Like, even if you're not getting paid to be an extra, like, you meet people, and then they might be like, they meet you and they're like, oh, by the way, I need extras for this other thing, or hey, there's auditions tomorrow for this other thing, and then you just find out other things, just them knowing you, the next time they'll think of you. I think that's kind of the first step, really.
So what I'm hearing is get involved.
Yeah, like a lot of the things that I've found out about, a lot of the ways that I've gotten into movies so far is just because I'm either, are we allowed to say specific names of like schools or places or?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
like
I
don't know.
It's promotion for them, right?
Okay, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, like film actor workshops, just
a lot of good people there.
yeah, I take 2 or 3 classes there a week. I also sometimes take classes at DigiView Creations with Jeannie Joseph, and sometimes just being in class, you hear about other things, other projects they're working on outside of class, and then they'll be like, hey, we're doing these other projects, do any of you want to be involved? And it's like, oh yeah, and I would have not known had I not just been there in person to overhear it, or they're like, hey, we're working on this other thing, or did you hear about this or that? And then, or going to the Independent Film Arizona meetings, a lot of what I've gotten involved in so far has just been just simply showing up to stuff, and then I naturally hear about other opportunities, and then those opportunities lead to other opportunities, which lead to meeting other people, and then those people have opportunities, and like it just gets the ball rolling.
And it sounds like another important component, from what I'm hearing, it sounds like you say the 3-letter magic word. Yes. Let's do this. Yes.
Okay.
Let's get involved. Yes. Let's jump in.
Oh yeah, true. I probably say yes to most things. There's some things I do have my limits sometimes, but most things I'm like, yeah, why not? Like more experience, more networking, like. Mm-hmm. And not being afraid, yeah, I'm not big into like doing camera work or helping with lighting, but it's like if it gets me involved, like I'm willing to do that if it means I can meet more people or get more experience. And people like that. People prefer an actor or actress who's willing to do other things besides act, who's willing to help. It just shows like their character. It makes them kind of trust you more, that you're not just there solely for acting, and you're like not going to lift a finger or do anything else, kind of.
And it's a big help. I mean, especially in the indie film hustle, where you have to run a very lean production because you can't promise everyone money, and somebody like you, Heather, comes along and offers something like that. That's a blessing, because that's help that you're offering, and that's a very big help. That's a really, really big help, and so it makes my heart happy to hear that. What was I was going to ask you something. What do you ultimately? Here's a question I have. So obviously this makes you happy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Talk to us about the importance of doing what makes you happy, because I like the example. The older I've gotten, when I try different things, and there are things that I maybe don't like, I try them and maybe I'm not crazy about them and they're not making me happy right here, then guess what? I just discovered something else that doesn't make me happy, or something else I'm probably not meant to do. And it drives me back to the thing that makes me happy. It's important to be happy, right?
Yeah.
In whatever you choose to do, correct?
Yeah. I mean, for one, it's part of like being authentic is doing what makes you happy, and like, yeah, we can't always do like what makes us happy, but if you can get as close as you can to what makes you happy, it just makes you come more alive as a person. I once heard a quote, I don't know if I'll get the quote exactly right, and I don't remember where I heard or read this, but something about, I forget the first part of the quote, but it was something about like, what we need is for people to come alive, and doing things that make your heart happy that you love and you're passionate about is what makes you come alive, and that's also, I believe, what is going to help other people come alive as well. It, like, seeing someone else follow their heart and their dreams come true inspires them that maybe they can do it too.
And I think with regards to just happiness, I mean, when somebody has come alive doing what makes them happy, well, you know, despite however much money it'll earn them, or if at all, I think that's important, because if I'm a happy person, I just touch the mic. If I'm a happy person, then maybe that'll rub off on the people around me. If I'm basically a grouchy person, it's also going to rub off, and you know, that's no good for anybody either. So I think when people are happy individually doing what you love to do, acting, filmmaking, and you're a happy, productive person doing that thing that you love to do, then there's just an energy that like everyone else picks up on and is infected by in a very good way when it's on the basis of happiness. And so I think the topic of happiness is something that a lot of people don't even think about or consider, and also what that looks like to them, like what happiness looks like to them, what would make them happy. So that's why I wanted to ask you that, because like you're apparently a person that is very happy doing what she does in you know, acting and whatnot. Very cool. What else did you want to talk about? Anything else you want to put out there? Yeah, anything at all.
I think sometimes it can especially be hard to find your happiness or your passion if you have people in your life that are trying to direct you away from it.
Yes.
And although they might be doing it like out of, like in a way they're doing it out of love or concern or trying to protect you, or like their intentions are the best, but ultimately their intentions are out of fear. And it's hard not to let their fear affect you and make you fearful and like question yourself and be like, well, are they right? Like maybe I am being dumb for pursuing this, or like it can be challenging to try and follow your own heart, especially when people that you know well and know you are like trying to make you not do that.
And I think that's a great point, especially with the good intentions too, Heather, because like, for example, if somebody's going to say, well, okay, film and the arts, or being a doctor, medicine, being a lawyer, law, right? Those things going to make you nice chunks of money? Yes. Okay. But, and by the way, I've tried to go, you know, a long time ago, try to go down more of the legal path, but the thing is that I was listening to too many other people other than my own voice. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I had to tune out what society's definition and what everyone else's definition of what success was. And I had to, and granted, you know what? It's not easy to do. It's not easy to tune everyone else out and to listen to your voice and who you are. You know, it's not easy, but practice it. Practice listening to what you want. Block out all the other voices telling you what happiness is, or what you should do, or what society says success is for you. Block all that out. Heather's right. Listen to the thing inside of you.
And if people think being an actor is courageous, honestly, I think being able to trust your own voice and follow your own path takes actually a lot more courage than acting itself. And I don't know if I personally would say block out their voices. I would say always be open to what other people are saying. Always take what they're saying into account, because I think there's truth in everything, but you still have to. But I think I get what you mean. Like in terms of blocking, like still separate it. Like don't let it. Don't confuse their voice with your own voice and their desires with your desires, because then it can just lead you down an unhappy path of regret. Like,
Yeah.
and like if someone likes being a doctor or enjoys that or is good at that or lawyer or whatever it is, then more power to, like, that's good. Like,
Yeah.
that, not saying that's bad, but like if that's not your thing and that would make you miserable, then what's the point of having all this money if you're miserable? Like, I'd rather have less money and be happy, because life is short. I mean, life is short. You only live once, and you have to, even if you feel like it might be a mistake to go after your dreams, you don't want to live in regret and be like, oh, well, what if I had done this? What if this? What if that? Like,
I like it. And you know, to all you lawyers and doctors out there, by the way, for those of you who are honestly happy within yourself for your career choice, I'm happy for you, because if you're happy doing that thing, then you kind of like, there's nothing else to say. You've already achieved the ultimate goal, just in your version of being a doctor and a lawyer, the ultimate goal of being happy. So if you're happy and it was meant for you and you were meant to be a lawyer and a doctor, then I'm really happy for you, because it's not the lawyer, the doctor, the money part, the titles, or anything like that. It's ultimately the ultimate goal that I would be happy for the person. It's the happiness that they've reached and obtained. So, you know, it's just the thing I put out there. But thank you for balancing that out, because I don't mean to demonize like all lawyers and doctors. I just saw a doctor this morning. I'm not trying to, you know, demonize anybody. I'm just saying, like, you know.
yeah, they're just the stereotypical example. It's not
Yes.
it's not like doctor, lawyer specifically. It's
Yeah.
just like, I don't know why that becomes the stereotypical example in society. Not yeah, but
And just to go off of, you know, those examples and still talk about unhappiness, I know a lot of people who, you know, not lawyers, not doctors, but you know, other people who are doing other things, and they're not happy. In some cases that I know, in some very specific cases that I'm talking about, certain people are not happy, and that it breaks my heart. Here's why it breaks my heart, because I get it. We all need like money, because we need to pay for food, clothing, shelter, utilities, blah blah blah, right? Maybe some entertainment, take a trip. I don't know. We need money. I get that, but we also need to be happy. It goes back to the message that you said you saw floating out there on the internet, that we need more people. Was it awoken? We need more people awake.
oh no, we need more people who have come alive.
We need, and I take come alive as happy, or come into, you know, figuring out what makes them happy. We need more of those people, because I mean, when let's talk about work for a moment. Say the average person sleeps 8 hours a night. Definitely not me, and I wish it was, but no, not me.
Me neither.
But so there's 8 hours, and then let's say you have a job, 8 hours, so there's 16. Okay, so let's eliminate the sleep, okay, because that's not really activity like per se, but you know, you have to sleep, so it's built in. So let's just build that in and not really count that. So then you have 16 hours left after sleep, okay? 8 are for work, and then the other 8 are for whatever you want. Half of the time, here's what I'm getting at. Half of the time when people are awake, and if you're doing something that makes you unhappy, that's why my heart's broken for people. Half of the time they're awake, and if they're doing something they hate, makes them unhappy. And even worse, if like, okay, I understand, like maybe some people have jobs that they don't necessarily like, but it pays the bills, cool. But at least some people, Heather, I mean, at least after that, like, okay, now I'm gonna go to my acting class this evening. They're still feeding that happiness afterwards. And that's so important, in my opinion, that they at least feed that, discover, acknowledge, and feed that happiness. But people who are not doing that outside of the job, and who are just at a job where like half of your literally awake time is doing something you hate, something that makes you miserable, something that you despise, that hurts me right here for, you know, for those individuals. And I wish them discovering the thing that makes them happy, you know. And what can you add to that, Henry? I need to stop myself because my mouth is going dry.
Okay.
What can you add to that, Heather?
um, it definitely takes courage to go against the grain, and a lot of trust in yourself. And um, it took me time to be able to do that. Um,
That's cool.
Yeah. And I mean, some people would be miserable being an actor. I'm not saying, oh, being an actor is the happy path. Like, it's like different strokes for different folks, right? Some people, they might love being an accountant. They're so good with numbers or something. And acting would just be like, oh, I can't stand acting. I hate acting. It makes me miserable.
It's
like,
not for everyone,
it's just different strokes for different folks.
Yeah.
Not saying acting's the way, and I'm not necessarily promoting like being a starving artist. I have like a full-time job outside of acting, but I mean, unless that's the route you really, really want to take. If you're gonna, but I feel like if someone's gonna go the starving artist route, then they really have to be serious and be like full on ready to like make it their full-time job. But I'm not a fan of the people who are like starving artists. Like, I'm not gonna get a job, but I'm not gonna put my everything and all into it either. Just kind of like, it's like, well, get a job. like just because you can be both. You can have a job and act or do your creative thing outside of work until your acting like overtakes your work. Then you can. I don't know if I should be saying that.
No. That's I think that's a great
point. That's my
point.
own philosophy, but like that doesn't mean it's my philosophy is right necessarily. I don't know.
I think it's a great point, Heather. I think it's a great point because when I do meet the people who are just gung ho, like I'm an actor and I don't have a day job and this is what I do and that's that. I'm just like damn, you're brave. I don't know if I could ever do that.
Yeah,
you know, I really don't. And so I look at those actors and actresses, or you know, maybe you're a camera person or an editor, and that's the only thing that you do. I'm just like, wow, that's brave. Like, I don't have too much else to say beyond that. Just in that direction, like that's brave because you know if that's the path. And I've met people. We've all met people that have done that, and so I admire that. So I'm just like, yeah, I don't know if I could be that brave, but it's very honorable. And so, I mean, but there are different paths, you know, like there are different paths because like, you know, you've got your full-time job and then I always like to use my hands for this one, right? Foundations. You and I have our full-time jobs. And then on top of that, then we build the arts. Okay. So, but you have a foundation underneath. Yeah. And then you're putting this on top of that first. Other people, you know, just have no foundation, period. Or other people maybe never, you know, they want to do the arts, filmmaking or whatnot, and maybe they never get to it. And so you just have the job. So you're going to have different ways that people are going to structure up their lives differently. And I think it's always fascinating to study, to listen to the different, it's fascinating for me to study and listen to the different scenarios of what people do. Like I've met actors who say, I love Uber because I'm working, but it's extremely flexible. And then, you know, if I have a casting call I have to run to, they have that flexibility. Of course, the stereotype out there, the common one, waiting tables. In my opinion, it's from the time that I was a server in the food industry. It's not as flexible as it may sound, you know what I mean? So, but things like Uber, Lyft, I've known people that do that. And so it's fascinating, again, to study the different ways people structure up their lives. So, you know, there are different ways to do it. There's no one way to do it. It's what works for you.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
yeah.
Heather, is there anything else you'd like to add, or maybe something I've not asked you about that you want to throw into, you know, just our chit chat we've been having? And if not, that's okay too.
Off the top of my head, not sure.
No, I think that's fine. That's fine. We definitely have definitely put out a lot of you know, value in our information, and so I thank you so much for coming on to FILMspiration. I really do appreciate it. And so here's like my little closing spiel that I always like to tell people that, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys have a higher power, consult your higher power. And beyond that, my 2 cents is run out there, do your thing, tell your stories. If you're an actress, if you're the filmmaker and the writer, the director, the photographer, the editor, whatever your thing is, maybe you make, this is the one I always throw out there, maybe you make pottery. You know, I don't know, this isn't a random example. Maybe you're not even in the arts. Cool. Whatever your thing is, and you have a question, go to the University of YouTube. Tuition is free. Figure out how to do the thing that you want to do, because you know somebody else out there has done it and put it on YouTube. Trust me, it's very true. And beyond that, you guys, just thank you so much for always tuning in. Heather, thank you so much for...
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome, and thank you for sharing all that you've shared, because that's ultimately what FILMspiration is all about. And you know, so that people can take something away from what we were able to share. And everyone on the YouTubes, thank you so much for tuning in. And if you're new to FILMspiration, thank you so much for being here. If you're not, and you've been aboard for a while, I love you also, and thank you so much for always supporting. A lot of people have been, you know, I've been doing this for a little while now, different forms, different names, but it's FILMspiration right now. Hopefully I want to stop right there. But thank you so much for all your support. You know, it's the reason we make movies. It's the reason theater people do theater. It's ultimately to tell a story. To who? To you guys, the audience. So thank you so much for always tuning in. You're a massive part of why we do what we do, you know, in the filmmaking realm, and then also here on this vlog. YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, plus the little bell, that way you're notified next time I make a new video. Facebook, give us a big fat like, a thumbs up, maybe share the video if you know somebody who can, I was gonna say definitely, somebody who can benefit. And leave us a comment, YouTube or Facebook. I promise I will get to your comment. It might take me a day or two. Life can get crazy, but I want to hear from you. And the Twitters and the Instagrams, bam, right below, right down there. and that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in. Heather, anything else you want to add?
No.
Everyone, thank you so much. This has been
Heather Serrano.
And my name is Edgar Ibarra. Thank you so much. This has been FILMspiration. Love you lots. Talk to you guys later. Bye.